Hi, everybody. Welcome to the How2Dad Podcast. We are doing an early show today because I have dinner plans with my family. It is Easter Sunday, so happy holidays, happy Easter, I guess. Some of you are experiencing spring break. My kids are having their Easter break. And today's show is going to be a little bit different because we're going to actually work together on answering those two questions that irritate anybody. Anybody who really thinks about Easter and how it's currently celebrated in North America. And of course, I mean, where did Jesus meet a 6-foot tall rabbit? Is he really that tall? And why is Easter celebrated on a different weekend every year? Come on, let's dive into this together. I'm actually going to be doing a screen share. So I'm going to be talking about what I'm seeing for the audio listeners. And so that keep in mind then that any information I do relate to you guys is from the internet. So take it from a grain of salt. All right, let's get the screen switched over here. Heard an echo. 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 That should fix that. Let's try that. Yeah, we're good. I have figured out how to monitor my audio better. Week 7, we're getting some progress. Woo! Speaking of that, it is episode 7 of the show. It is April 21st, 2019. My name is Devin Pierce. We are live on Mixer. And today we're trying to find some Easter understandings. It's going to be a short episode today, and we're going to try and do our best with it. All right. So as you guys can see here, I already have a few different things up. And we're going to take a look at different things. I looked up, where does the name of Easter come from? I got a couple of articles here from some different sources. And of course, we're going to talk about my favorite version of the Easter Bunny, which is, Hugh Jackman's from Rise of the Guardians by DreamWorks Pictures. Because he's just awesome. By far, some of my favorite versions of any and all holiday characters from the Rise of the Guardians movie. I especially like Santa Claus being tattooed in Russian. All right. The name Easter. Well, when you look up the name Easter, you guys are going to find some Wikipedia information, and you're going to find a few other different websites that talk about E with a line over it. O-S-T-R-E. Eostra or Ostra. And somehow that's just old Germanic versions of Easter. This is a Germanic goddess who is supposedly name ties into the Germanic month Yestronap, which I totally know I butchered, and I apologize, but I'm doing the best I can. It is believed to be the namesake of the Easter festival in some languages. I got reading through this article, and it seems to be that there's a bit of debate about this. as to the authenticity of this goddess's existence has even been brought into question, or like that it was ever worshipped as a goddess. That's kind of interesting. The aspects of, you know, connecting this version of Easter to the customs involving rabbits and eggs, um, is also in debate among some scholars whether or not they had anything to do with each other. Since its origins, Easter has been a time of celebration and feasting, and many traditional Easter games customs have developed, such as egg rolling, egg tapping, case egging, or confetti eggs, egg decorating. Today's Easter, of course, has been commercialized to the point of insanity, as with most holidays. Quite frankly, the quality of chocolate has gone down. There's a lot of big words on this Wikipedia page that I'm not entirely sure I can pronounce properly. Here's a section. Hares and Frisia. In Northern Europe, Easter imagery often involves hares and rabbits, citing folk Easter customs in Lincolnshire, England, where the profits of the land called harecrop lays were applied to providing a meal which was thrown on the ground at the hare pie bank. How would you throw your food on the ground? My noise gate seems to be working really great today, as in it's not letting me do things or picking me up entirely. So that's okay. Oh, hello, Hedgehog Mama. Yeah, that's my noise gate. Let's fix that. You guys can see how this all works. This is the app that runs my mixer. Let's try that. I usually have it down at 32. I'm not sure why I was sitting at 40. It's a bit excessive. So it says here that a 19th century scholar, Charles Isaac Elton, theorized connections between these customs and the worship of the goddess we mentioned previously. So that means it's not actually confirmed, it's just an idea that somebody had, right? Now, I've always been told that the Easter side of things is more the pagan religions, pre-Christianity type stuff, and it's simply been throughout history that to appease those people who weren't following the Christian religion, Christianity has adapted or adjusted their customs to better fit other cultures to bring them into the fold. One of these articles that I did bring up actually has specifically mentions that about Christmas. So the Easter, as a Christian festival, it celebrates the resurrection of Christ. The Bible says that Christ died on the cross the day called Good Friday, which was this past Friday. And according to the Bible, he was resurrected and came back to life on Easter Sunday. And this varies from year to year. And according to what I have seen, this is because of it is based off of the Sunday following the first full moon of spring. I got that in my notes over here. Yeah, on the first Sunday after the first full moon following the spring equinox. So Easter next year will be celebrated on April 12th and then April 4th in 2021. That doesn't really explain, though. Like, sure, that's how they pick what day it's going to be. But the day a guy died can't change year from year. So why is it different? Who decided that that's how they decide when Easter is? This article is going to get into the Easter eggs part of it, but we're not quite there yet. Let's solve a little bit more of the date. Yeah. Easter is quite similar to other major holidays which have evolved over the last 200 years or so. Christian and pagan elements have been combined and blended together. Changing of the seasons. I like this one here, which explains December 25th a little bit better. The main reason that Jesus' birth came to be celebrated on December 25th is because it's the date of the winter solstice, according to the Roman calendar. The days following the winter solstice gradually become longer and less dark, and this was the ideal symbolism for the birth of the light of the world, as stated in the New Testament's Gospel of John. And then the Easter is usually around the vernal equinox of March 20th, where light and dark is kind of equal. But again, that date doesn't change, so why does Easter? Let's use it on this one. Why does Easter move around? Look at that. Right here. Although Easter is related to the beginning of spring in the northern hemisphere, the March equinox, and the full moon, its date is not based on the actual astronomical date of either event. The actual equinox varies from March 19th to March 22nd, and the date depends on your specific time zone. The date of Paschal full moon, used to determine the date of Easter, is based off mathematical approximations following a 19-year cycle called the Metonic cycle. Both dates may coincide with the dates of astronomical events, but in some years they do not. Anybody else getting more confused by the information we're finding? Okay, I'm going to read this to you guys. The March equinox in the Western Hemisphere happened on Wednesday, March 20th, while the first full moon in spring was that Thursday, March 21st for this year. In many time zones, if the church followed the timing of these astronomical events, Easter would have been celebrated on March 24th. The Sunday after the full moon, on March 21st. However, the full moon date in March, specified by the church's lunar calendar, also called the equinoctial full moon, was March 20th, 2019, a day before the equinoctial date of the March equinox, March 21st. For that reason, the Easter date of 2019 is based on the next equinoctial full moon, which was on April 18th. And this is why we are having it today, April 21st. This seems way too complicated. So the basis of it is that Jesus Christ's death and resurrection occurred at the time of Jewish Passover, which was celebrated on the first full moon following the vernal equinox. And because that celebration shifts and changes so does Easter for Christians, involving the death of Christ. So rather than figuring out based off of the year what actual dates on the calendar that would have happened when he died, they just move it around to match the celebration of Passover. And to me, that kind of sounds like what I was saying earlier, where they adjusted the Bible and their religious celebration to fit with other people's traditions to bring them into the fold. By the way, guys, I'm totally open to debating anything that we come up with. Or if you guys have more information you can add to this topic, let me know. Because this is kind of cool to look into this and dig into this. And I would like for anybody's help in it if they have more information. Yeah. The Gregorian calendar dates. That the Gregorian calendar is always, I think, what I've heard previously about why things are done. All right, so now we've talked about the name. It comes from some goddess that was associated with the timing of the year. So now let's get into eggs and rabbits. We sort of the timing of the year too. So this is something I found interesting in this little article here. Originally, eating eggs was not allowed by the church leaders during the week leading up to Easter, known as Holy Week. So any eggs laid that week were saved and decorated to make them Holy Week eggs, and were often given to children as gifts. Simple enough. Victorians adapted the tradition with satin-covered cardboard eggs filled with Easter gifts. Why are Easter eggs made of chocolate? France and Germany, 19th century, bitter and hard. As chocolate making techniques improved, hollow eggs like the ones we have today were developed. So, but why? It didn't answer its own question. That's not a very good article, is it? What do I have to say about the Easter Bunny? Common in the 19th century. I also find it interesting that rabbits' babies are called kittens. They become a symbol of new life due to the large litters that they produce each year. The legend that the Easter Bunny lays, decorates, and hides their eggs, often as the symbol of new life. In Switzerland, eggs are delivered by a cuckoo, Cuckoo, and in parts of Germany are delivered by a fox. The more you know. Whoa. See that link? There's a link here for our auditory listeners on this particular page for a 7-foot chocolate Easter egg from March 2015. So go ahead and look that up if you're interested. I talked into why Easter's called Easter already. I think we can skip this article. The Easter Bunny, also called the Easter Rabbit or the Easter Hare, which doesn't help when people can't tell the difference between a rabbit, a bunny, or hare. Believed to have been originating among German Lutherans, the Easter Hare originally played a role of a judge, evaluating whether children were good or disobedient in behavior at the start of the season Eastertide, which is a festival season in the liturgical year of Christianity that focuses on celebrating the resurrection of Jesus Christ. It begins on Easter Sunday, which initiates Easter week. In Western Christianity, the bright week in Eastern Christianity. I don't think I've ever heard it called Eastertide. Easter Bunny is sometimes depicted with clothes. In legend, the creature carries colored eggs in his basket, candy, and sometimes also toys to the homes of children, and such shows similarities to Santa Claus or Christkind. as they both bring gifts to children the night before their respective holidays. There's a note here that this might not be a reputable source. However, the custom was first mentioned in George Francovon Frankenus, roughly translates to About Easter Eggs, in 1682, referring to the German tradition of the Easter hare bringing Easter eggs for children. Let's get into the eggs. In addition, the Orthodox churches have a custom of abstaining from eggs during the fast of Lent. The only way to keep them from being wasted was to boil them or roast them and begin eating them to break the fast. As a special dish, they would have been decorated as part of the celebrations. Later, Germanic Protestants retained the custom of eating colored eggs for Easter, though they did not continue the tradition of fasting. Interesting. Eggs boiled with some flowers change their color, bringing the spring into the homes of and some other time-added custom of decorating eggs. Many Christians of the Eastern Orthodox Church to this day typically dye their Easter eggs red, the color of blood, in recognition of the blood sacrifice of Christ and the renewal of life in the springtime. Some also use the color green in honor of new foliage emerging after a long dead time winter. The Ukrainian art of decorating Easter eggs, known as, I'm going to totally say this wrong, Pansky, or to write or to scribe, to scribe designs not painted on but written with beeswax. I've done that. As a kid, I remember doing that, studying Ukrainian traditions in school. These dates to ancient pre-Christian times. Similar variants of this form of art have been seen amongst other Eastern and Central European cultures. That part I did not know. The idea of egg-giving hare went to the United States in the 18th century. Protestant German immigrants in the Pennsylvania Dutch area told their children about Osterhaus, sometimes spelled other ways. Hace means hare, not rabbit. And in northwestern European folklore, the Easter Bunny indeed is a hare. According to the legend, only good children received gifts or colored eggs in the nests that they made with the caps and bonnets before Easter. At the end of it, to answer the question of when did Jesus meet a rabbit, he didn't. And that it is, again, this acclamation of two different cultural representations and celebrations happening to be on the same dates and time. So there you have it, I guess. Of course, as I mentioned, the Easter Bunny from Rise of the Guardians by DreamWorks Pictures is my favorite adaptation, which when you think about his historical creations being from the 18th, 19th century, or even 16th century, as debated by some people, in Germany and that part of Europe, it makes it really awkward when you think about the fact that this one has an Australian accent. When did Australia become a thing? When was it discovered? Pretty sure I spelled Australia wrong. Yep, totally did. 1770. Discovered by white people anyways, right? So 18th century is when we discovered Australia. So if there was a magical bunny resurrected to give Easter eggs to children, there is the potential, assuming that it was created in the 18th century, that he could be Australian. So that's not as far-fetched as one might think. Well, guys, I hope that this short little episode was somewhat educational as we dug into why Easter is the way it is nowadays in North America. And our general assessment is that coincidences and simplicities. It's simply easier to celebrate holidays all around the same time at the same time. And that society, as it has evolved and changed, has taken bits and pieces from different traditions and different cultures and melting pot, mixed it all together, and that's what we have today in North America. Which makes perfect sense considering that places like Canada and North America are created from the influx of multiple cultural backgrounds and histories. And so therefore it makes perfect sense that our current versions of cultural celebrations have been influenced by a variety of those. Thanks for watching, guys. As always, hit me up on Twitter or send me an email if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, and you're watching this on the YouTube replay. Hit me up under the bridge where all the trolls live in that comment section and let me know what you guys thought about today's episode. I honestly don't know where my show notes for what next week's show is, so I can't tell you what it's going to be, but keep posted and I'll see you guys next week. The How2Dad Podcast is owned and hosted by myself, Devin Pierce, and is licensed under Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial Share Alike 4.0. This international license has all rights reserved. This podcast is also currently available for any auditory listeners on Anchor, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Breaker, Overcast, Pocket Cast, and RadioPublic. Happy Easter, everybody.